So folks, a lot of us are really strained and constricted by space in our gardens, especially if you're living in a townhouse or if you're in a flat and you've got just a little balcony, but you still want to have something that you can eat, that you've grown, that you can enjoy at your dinner or your lunch. So we're going to show you today just how you can do that. Mixed herbs, leafy little guys. In fact, they're a cross between a microgreen and eventually getting to something that is more mature. So this is what you need. You need a pot, preferably a wide mouth pot, so that you can get as much in here as possible. Remember, it doesn't need that much space. I mean, that's all it needs to be able to sit on. But you want it to be as wide brimmed as possible. Doesn't need to be very deep. This is just a plastic pot. Remember, it needs holes. Very important. A lot of these containers that you buy don't have the holes in them, and then you need to drill them in. So make sure that they've got the holes in. Simple. This is how we do it. You need some drainage pebbles. All right, these are just some ordinary pebbles that you can pick up at your local garden centre and throw them at the bottom of the pot so that we've got a good drainage percolating system. Perfect. In they go. Next up, what we need is some potting soil. And all you're going to do is take the guy, empty it in, and let's have a look at how much we need. Right, a little bit more. And let's get it just to below the level of the pot. Remember, you don't want it flush, because then as you're watering, so then the water's just going to pour over and probably lose a couple of your seeds as well. So before I start leveling it all out, there are a couple of things that I want to add into here to make sure that our little seeds that we plant are going to have everything they need. A couple of handfuls of bone meal. There we go. That should do it. And then a little bit of vermiculite. Now, vermiculite is basically a volcanic product. Have a look at it here. It's made up of very, very fine little particles that when you have them together, you create this little spongy mass. So from one of these guys, they swell up to 10 times their own size when they come into water, really multiplying out. So when you're at work and your little plants are needing moisture, all they do is suck it out from the vermiculite and they stop that stress. So just 1 or 2 handfuls of this in the mixture as well. And that is going to make sure that everything is ready to go to make sure that our little guys have the right start. So now all we do is mix it in. Get this all mixed in nicely here. You know, hands can do the job just as well. That's it. Just like that. And then I'm going to take a little wooden float that I've got just to even it out and get it nice and level. Use your hand as well to get it into all the spaces. And you'll see why we're doing this in a minute. Now remember, this little container that we're preparing here is a cross between microgreens and having, once you've picked the microgreens, is letting those ones grow out and then eventually having some established herbs. And this is the way that we're going to do it. I've been along to the garden centre. I've got myself a beautiful mixture of all different types of seeds. I've got some coriander, some chives, some little lettuce, a couple of carrots. And what I've got here is a container just with a little bit of river sand in it. Now, the reason why I'm doing the river sand is to make my life a whole lot easier and yours as well. So open up your packets of seeds, whatever your heart desires, and you're simply just going to pour them in to your container that's got a little bit of river sand. Now, why am I doing that? Well, it makes things and life way, way simpler, because as you're adding these in, so you can see the difference in the color between the seeds and the river sand. So you can actually see where your seeds are when you're busy sowing them. Because sometimes they're so fine, you actually don't know where you're sowing them because they're the same color as the soil. I mean, that's daft. All right, and a couple of carrots. I'm not going to put all the carrots in because did you know there's an average of 6,000, yes, you heard me right, 6,000 carrot seeds in a packet of carrot. Oh, my word. Imagine if all those had to germinate. And I've got some little butter lettuce, because butter lettuce as youngsters, I mean, when they're only that big, to pick those as little microgreens are fabulous. They are sweet, juicy, crunchy, on a sami, in a salad, beautiful. So sprinkle these guys in here. Okay, we've got them all in. Now all we do is give it a good mix. So mix this all in together, just like that. Well mixed. Now you've got literally seeds and river sand all mixed in together. You could, of course, also use flour or mealie meal to do exactly the same thing. And that will also bulk it up and allow you to be able to see where you're sowing it. Now what we do is take our river sand mixture and we simply just distribute it over the surface. And remember, of course, we know now that wherever we've put the river sand, we know that there are some seeds there. So it really does remove that margin for error, which is so important, so that everything doesn't come up in one little patch. Okay. So you can really see why it's important to do that mixture, because here you can see some of the little chive seeds, here the coriander seeds. The last bit that you want to actually do to encourage the germination is just to take your vermiculite and you cover the seeds. So you can imagine the vermiculite is forming this little bed on top of all these little seeds as they're needing moisture, so they're going to draw from it. And your little herb container, that will be a mixture between microgreens and, of course, those that you don't pick as microgreens and leave them to grow, are going to give you great, healthy veggies and herbs. Right, that should do it. Final little bit. Take your little wooden trowel again, give it a nice firm patting down, making sure that the seeds are getting into contact with the soil as well as the vermiculite. And now all I've got to do is put this into an area that's going to get at least good morning sun. I'm going to give it a good watering now, and then in 7 to 10 days, watch these little babies come up. This is the perfect spot for my little seeds to germinate. Gets the morning sun, protected from that hot afternoon sun, which really can dry them out incredibly quickly. And now that's all that's left for me to do, is give it a good watering and watch how the vermiculite just starts swelling up and just sucking up all the water. You're probably going to need to give them a good watering every day for the first 7 days until they've started popping through. And the secret to all seeds when you're germinating them is just about that initial amount of water in that first week. Once that's done, you can cut back on the watering and the little guys will start taking over. All watered and good to go. And I really want to show you here. Look at this little piece of vermiculite. Now, if I squeeze it, look at the moisture that starts coming out of there. That is what vermiculite does. Absolutely incredible. Look at that. Now, leave that there, water it every day, and within 7 days, you're going to watch the miracle happen.